Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're enjoying the content that I'm putting out every single week, please do me a favor, take 1 second out of your day and hit that little red subscribe button there. You'll be notified of any new videos that drop and they'll show up in your home feed there. And it greatly benefits the channel. Should only take a second out of your day. Please do that. Also comment and like the videos that you're enjoying that I put out. Leave me some feedback. I'm also looking forward to seeing everybody at Huntstock. If you haven't got your tickets yet, you can go to Eventbrite. The link will be in the description of all of my podcasts. Get your ticket to Huntstock. It's going to be an event unlike any other hunting event. A reminder, we're going to have the best door prizes out of any show ever, all right? $15,000 worth of door prizes. We're giving away brand new bows, Woodman Arms muzzleloaders, 3 sets of Yokohama tires for your trucks or four-wheel drive vehicles. We've got First Light apparel. We've got Wild Edge saddles. We've got original artwork. I mean, it's going to be an incredible weekend for the door prizes alone, not to mention all the live podcasts, all the seminars, the greatest group of hunting talent ever assembled in the Northeast in one location. It's going to be an awesome time. We're going to enjoy each other's camaraderie and celebrate our culture. So if you haven't, get your tickets to Huntstock online. You can also get them at the door as long as we don't sell out before then. We're looking forward to seeing you guys there. Again, quick like, subscribe, and comment on all the videos. And thanks for your support. All right, this week's episode is with Dan and Ryan from Rhode Island Whitetails. These guys have an awesome YouTube page. If you guys are listening from the Northeast, you've probably seen their stuff. We don't have a ton of YouTube content creators in the Northeast. These guys are definitely one of the best at it. Super relatable. They have a lot of fun doing it. I really enjoy their videos, so go check them out. We'll put the link in the description. They are Rhode Island Whitetails on YouTube. Instagram, we'll throw up what their Instagram name is on the video. At Rhode Island _Whitetails. These guys just, they get after it. They hunt a lesser known state for hunting, but a state with a lot of great potential and some big bucks, as you'll see by some of the sheds they brought and some of the stories they have on hunting Rhode Island, how it might differ from some of the other Northeastern states. Just a pleasure to have these guys, so we'll get right into it now. Here is Ryan and Dan with Rhode Island Whitetails. All right, we got another episode of the Hunt Suburbia podcast, and I'm joined by Ryan and Dan from Rhode Island Whitetails, right?
Yep.
What's going on, boys?
Thanks for having us. Yep.
Thanks for bringing my first Rhode Island beer here, Captain's Daughter Double IPA.
Yep. That's from my town. That's from Grace Ale Brewery in Westerly, Rhode Island.
It's pretty good. I like it a lot. You always got to rep your hometown, too, no matter where you go.
Yep.
Yep. I'm Rutland, Vermont. You got to go to Rutland Beer Works is our local brewery. Pretty good. Yep. So we're all rocking different beers here. Rise APA and Dan with the classic Coors.
Coors Original.
Coors OG. He's been drinking that for years.
Love it.
So good it only comes in gold.
Thank you guys for making the trip up, and I just want to say that I love your channel. If you guys don't know, these guys have an awesome YouTube channel, Rhode Island Whitetails. Your passion for hunting really comes through on the channel, and you guys just look like you've been best friends forever and have a lot of fun doing it, and it comes out in the video. So awesome channel.
I
really
appreciate that. Yeah. We have been friends for a wicked long time, best friends.
Yeah,
I want 20 years at least.
I want to know that story. Like, you guys just went to the same school, or what? Basically.
Our town was Charahoe. It consisted of like 4 different towns altogether. So there's like 4 different elementary schools, and once you hit 5th grade, you all go to Charahoe Middle School. Yeah. So yeah, we went to separate elementary schools. And we met in 6th grade or something.
When did you guys start hunting together?
Shortly after, I'd say.
Yeah, probably right at the beginning of high school. I've been hunting for my whole life, but he started getting into it probably right around like age 16 when we could drive and go on our own and do that sort of stuff. So
his family was really what pushed me in the direction of hunting. I always wanted to hunt when I was younger, but no one in my family really deer hunted or anything.
Yep.
And his family was heavily into it, so
so they took you under their wing and taught you some stuff, and now you're addicted for life, huh?
Pretty much.
Yeah, my dad will routinely go to his spots and see Dan's truck sitting there, like, oh, Dan's in my tree stand now. No.
How do you guys find such big deer in Rhode Island? That's what I want to know.
Well, it's a small state, so they're not easy to find. No, they're not easy to find.
It's actually, when you look on a map on Rhode Island, there is quite a bit of woods. There's quite a bit of big
coast.
chunks.
Everyone's living on the water, and all the central stuff is all untouched.
Yeah.
No, there's just a ton of like land conservation areas, like bow hunt only spots. Actually, just a lot of open woods. We have like pretty good management areas that people don't even know. Like, you think Rhode Island's a small state. We have a lot of open space.
Yeah,
that's available for outdoor recreation. It's awesome.
And do you guys target bow hunt only spots a lot of the time? Do you find yourself doing that?
Yes and no. We like those spots just because there tends to be not a lot of people in them, which anyone would like those spots. But
yeah, it definitely draws less of a crowd, and the places where you need a proficiency card, or you have to sign up for a refuge pass or something. Any step to make it one extra bit harder keeps that many more people out of there.
That's totally true, man. Yep, I was just talking with somebody from one of those town conservation programs, and just because there's that extra step, it's going to deter a ton of people. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that extra step isn't even that that hard to complete, right?
Definitely.
Just knocking on someone's door in private, that's a step that a lot of people are afraid to do to get private permission. Mm-hmm. I'm not afraid of it. I just haven't really done it yet. I have a lot of public, pretty good public that I've scouted around that I just don't have any need to look for private right now. But that is a step that people don't take. But you could, and it can open up a lot of good hunting spots for you, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of the times, like, it's a lot of old mentality hunters, so everyone has their set stands, and not a lot of the people are out there doing, like, the new age hunting, so, like, let's call it run and gun. Like, not a lot of people are doing that, so I think, like, younger guys like us are in tune with that sort of style of hunting, so we're out searching for new spots every weekend, rather than, like, everyone else is just going to their same old tree that they've been sitting for the last 25 years, you know? So people got to get out of that mentality, I think.
Yeah, that's the mentality that, I had from my Vermont hunting experience, and everybody, my dad and my uncle. My dad and my uncle have had the same spots. They keep the same spot for 10 to 15 years at a time, and then like my uncle passed his spot down to his son, my cousin, and my cousin goes there every opening weekend now, and it's the same exact spot,
Yeah.
And it actually, where we hunt, it's successful. It's every year or every other year, somebody gets a deer out of those productive spots. But it's just completely different coming down here and being able to scout nearby, not have to go back to scouting is the biggest part to me. It's like that. That's how you become successful, right?
Yep.
Definitely, yeah.
What do you do for scouting?
A lot of it's done during shed hunting season, I'd say.
Yeah.
Someone said to me the other day, I think they messaged me on Instagram, and they were asking, how is it that you find these sheds? How do you find so many? I think I've found like one in the past year. And I'm like, well, I think I've put in 70 miles almost this year already, and their head just spun. It was funny.
Why don't we just, while we're talking about that, why don't we talk about this one right here, dude?
Yeah, this one. You
just found that one recently, right?
This one was a beauty. That I actually, when I walked up on this, I came out into a field that I didn't know existed in this spot that I've been going to for 10 years. And they had clear cut it last year and burned out the whole base layer of the forest. And that was just lying dead center of the field.
Wow.
Just got lucky.
Cool, yeah, that's so crazy. I wish I was with him for that one, but I wasn't.
Double main beamer. I wonder if the other side has another main beam like that.
I know.
I probably put in a good 8 to 10 miles looking for the other side. Didn't find it.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. It's got like crazy color to it too. It's very bleached already almost.
Yeah, I feel like sitting.
It's probably laying like that, right?
Yep, the center of that field just cooked it.
Yeah. And then what's the story with that shed there?
There's a lot of stories that go along with this shed right here.
Did you guys measure that? Did you measure that shed?
We've never had that officially measured. No.
Have you ever green scored measured it?
No.
Maybe we'll do that at the end because I've been
That'd be awesome.
Green scoring.
Yeah, that's one thing that we've never really gotten into, like scoring anything.
Yeah.
Like the only time we really got into was last year when he shot his drop tine buck. Like we have to get this thing scored. But I've never had any experience scoring anything myself.
Well, that thing is a giant.
Yeah,
that's a beauty.
We've kept this thing a secret for this deer for the past couple of years, and we're still trying to a little bit.
No,
but Hopefully this guy will be on our channel sometime soon, hopefully next year. But
well, nobody's gonna know where it is except for the people who already know where it is. Anyways.
We're always wondering if anyone else really knows about him. I mean, of course, some select friends know about him and stuff, but we're wondering if any other hunters in the area like have got pictures of him or have seen him or shot at him, whatever. You know,
you never know.
Yeah.
But
is there a chance he could be dead, or you would have heard about it?
Let's hear the story, Dan.
Yeah, I actually, it must have been middle of November, middle of the rut, I'd say. I ended my stand. I was getting a little antsy, and I jumped out of my stand like probably 10 minutes before a light went out of the sky. And of course, as soon as I hit the bottom of the tree, all of a sudden he comes walking over the hill right
still
towards
illegal,
me.
right?
Still legal. It was still light, and he just came in at a weird angle, and he was moving fast, and I pulled up, drew back, and shot. And
this year?
Yep.
Wow.
And I plugged him a little high, and
it was in that no man's land, like underneath the spine.
Was this on a video?
No, yeah.
We tracked him for a while, and it just eventually just ran out.
Good 2 hours, and then I spent about 2 or 3 days after that looking for him. And I came over a hill. I had my dad even helping me out looking for him, and my dad had pushed him over this hilltop, and he came running down right to me and just stood in front of me.
You were on the ground?
I was on the ground.
No bow, nothing. He was just
looking for him because I thought he was dead, and he just stood there, looked at me.
Oh, this was a few days later?
Yeah, 3 days after.
Okay, all
yep.
right.
And he had a hole in the side of him. It didn't appear to be.
Dude, if you had your bow with you, then would you have been able to kill him?
I have the picture ready because I thought we were going to talk about this.
He ran onto a piece that you can't hunt.
Yeah.
So
that's where you were when he came charging?
When I found him, yeah.
So there he is standing there looking at Dan. And you can see almost where he hit him, like perfectly no man's land. Like
you took a picture with because you didn't have a bow, so
yeah.
Yep.
He took a video.
He's just standing there looking at me.
Oh, he's perfectly broadside. Yeah, if it was a huntable piece.
It broke my heart, but that's kind of how it goes, you know.
Now, did you not take your bow on purpose because you knew you might be going into a place where you couldn't hunt?
I knew where we hit last blood was just about into. It was probably 50 yards from being over the line into this spot, and we knew he was heading that way, so I knew there was no chance of him coming back towards me.
Yeah.
So yeah, we kind of knew what we were getting into.
So it's a sob story a little bit, but we're hoping that he's alive. We have cameras and stuff up.
Now, how many years ago was that shed?
That was just last year.
That was last year's shed?
Yeah. And he looks exactly the same as he did last year. Yeah. Like maybe, like you can't even distinguish if he got bigger. And his rack is the same.
Quick. Just make sure people get a good look at that. It's cool. It's like it's starting to look like that Burns' electric buck with the junk starting to come out.
Totally.
I wonder, do you guys have any idea how old he is?
He's got to be at least
This is the only shed you found?
Yeah, and we've known him for 3 years, and this year will be our 4th year knowing him, so I'd say he's probably at least 6 or 7 at this point, you know?
Awesome.
But just to make it clear, like, this is the biggest buck we've ever gotten on trail cam in our area. Like, this is something, like, we're after him.
Yeah, you're totally, you know.
We're, like, invested.
Yes.
So
hopefully, those are the best. Those are the best stories, and especially now if it comes to fruition and you guys get them this year. Now we're starting to tell the story, and there's a little bit of a record of it, and you know it's really good.
Yep, we've got like trail cam videos of him and some footage of him. We have Dan's story. And it's like a lot of pieces to the puzzle. Like, so hopefully we can just end it, and like, the video will be good. Hopefully.
Now, have you been in to look for his sheds this year? You've had to have, right?
I actually went in once, probably a week ago, I'd say, and I haven't had any luck. I threw out a trail camera just to see if he's kicking around. I haven't had him on trail cam since, so that kind of worried me. If he just took off to a different area, he's not going to come back.
But he definitely didn't die. He looked super healthy in that picture, and you can tell how
he was with the doe too. He was with the doe, so
yeah. When I was with him, when I shot at him, he had a doe with him, and when I saw him the next day, he had the same doe next to him. So he seemed to be all right. He was not too affected by it.
Yeah. What time of the year was that?
That was middle of November. I want to say like the 15th or the 18th, somewhere around there.
Definitely right before Thanksgiving, like middle of November, like the heart of it, you know.
Now, let's back up a little bit. So you climbed down from your stand, and when you shot him, were you on the ground as well?
I was on the ground, yeah.
You had your bow there. So just kind of slow it down a little bit. You're like, I want to get out of the woods. There's a long sit, probably kind of a crappy sit, right?
Yeah, we usually start as soon as you can hunt in September. September 15th, we're out there. So by this point in November,
2 straight months.
I hadn't really seen too much, hadn't been having the best season, and I was just ready to get out of my stand by that point. I knew I had to work early the next day, and slowly creeping down, I get to the base of the tree. And
are you climbing with a saddle, or what are you using?
We use sticks and hang-on stands.
Okay. All right, yep.
And half the time we pack it out. I'd say, sometimes we leave it, and then we'll come back next sit and adjust, but...
So did you leave it this time? Did you keep it there? Or did you
yeah.
pack it out? Yeah.
Yeah, I left it there, and I think I just removed it at the end of the season. I didn't hunt that stand again for that season.
It bummed us out for sure. And a little bit more to that backstory. It's like he's hunting this deer hard. He's just a little burnt out, like going to the same spot, like sit after sit, trying to get this buck and not seeing him, and frustrated. And that one time he gets down, there he is. It's like, but that's hunting.
But you climbed all the way to the ground, and then when did you see him come in?
I think I had my head down and I had my bag on the ground, and I was kind of just getting everything together, and I picked my head up, and he was standing probably 20 yards, 30 yards from me. He'd come over this little hill, and he was just standing on the crest of it next to me.
Was he looking at you?
He was looking right at me moving, so I pulled up my bow, and I know I just aimed a little fast, and I flinched right when I let go, and it hit him a little far back. And
now, did you have to guess the yardage?
No, I had a good idea. Every time I get into that stand, I always I pick out, 5 key points that I know the yardage of, and then I'll base it off of there. And so that definitely helps. But
yeah, and there was nothing in the way. It was like, oh, dude,
just my nerves.
Yeah.
Man,
that's exciting though.
Heartbreaking.
Have you killed any deer from the ground before yet with your bow?
Yes, I have. My first deer actually was a doe, and you ended up pushing it out of the woods to me in the snow that day.
Yeah, it was a snow hunt, so it was perfect. Pushed a little patch of them. You got doe to stop, and it was great.
Have you killed any on the ground?
Yeah, I have a good video of it on the channel if anyone wants to check it out.
Definitely.
Yeah, it was awesome. 15 yards. Just got the GoPro clicked on.
Buck?
A buck, yeah, 8.1.
Oh,
this one.
Oh, let's pull it up.
Yeah.
I think I remember actually maybe. Did you? I don't know. I can't remember if it was your channel. Awesome. Yeah.
This one was just like a nice, like beautiful, perfectly symmetrical, like nice.
What was the story of that? Did you go into a spot and then you kind of like moved a little bit to up a knoll?
Yeah, I was walking in,
so
and I was like using my flashlight, and I saw the 2 deer looking at me. I'm like, oh my god, yeah! And I got back down behind the tree and eventually just called him in.
Awesome. Sweet.
How old would you guess that deer is?
How old?
Yeah.
I would say 3.5, or he could be really old.
What was he? I forget.
He was 5.5.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I was surprised when I heard it.
Yeah. He's a really nice deer, but he doesn't have a lot of like mass through him or anything.
Nope.
So.
Oh.
Sweet, dude. Yeah, so that make sure you do watch that video because that was awesome.
Yeah, it was
I'm remembering it now.
A really fun hunt. It just happened to fall into like the 3 or 4 days that Rhode Island does at the beginning of muzzleloader season, where you have to like bring your deer into a check station and a biologist checks it out, and that's how we got the age and stuff. So it's cool that you can do that. I wish you could do that for all your deer. I guess you can if you send it in, but
yeah, that's another thing that's kind of gone by the wayside is the old check-ins. Everybody's doing online check-ins these days, and
it's kind of like it takes away from like the camaraderie of it. You know, like you want to go and see people's deer and like talk to people. Like that day, we like met someone who saw our videos and like, you got the guys from around Whitetails. It just makes you feel good. You know?
It's always it's cool to know that people actually are watching and appreciating. You know,
it's a small hunt community like where we are, so it's fun. Like people like, oh, we saw your video. It's so cool. Like it just makes you feel good. Like I say.
I keep thinking and saying that one of these weekends during a season, I will go to a check station and just bring my podcasting and my camera and just get a bunch of interviews right? Because you get the guys who are fresh off of their hunt and
Yeah,
they're
that's a
bringing
good
it in
idea.
to check and like they're excited and just get like a tailgating.
Like, what was the story?
Yeah,
Like, get the quick
right.
little clip
Just get
of
a
the
bunch of
story.
quick hits, and because that camaraderie, like you said, is awesome at the check stations.
Mm-hmm. Everyone's amped, no matter what deer you shot. Everyone's
Yep.
like amped over a big buck, but like
Yeah.
anything that comes in, everyone's amped.
Yep. So what's tell everybody kind of, are you hunting suburban areas, big woods? What type of like terrain, just so we can level set, and then we're gonna get into like your tactics on scouting and how you choose your stand locations and stuff like that. But what kind of woods do you guys hunt mostly?
It's pretty much 75-25 public, private. Like we have our private spots that we hit, but the public spots are definitely suburban. I'd say 5,000 acre pieces, which aren't huge, but budding neighborhoods and little pieces of land conservation pieces, bow hunt only pieces that are in the middle of neighborhoods, hard to get to, small parking lots. Like I'd definitely suburban hunting.
When you say 5,000 acres, is it kind of like not a big 5,000 acre patch with houses around the whole thing? In the middle is all. Is it 5,000 kind of contiguous, but there's neighborhoods like jutting in and out?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So that's
hiking trails through it all, like a spider web. So.
Yep. Got it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because like I grew up in the Vermont, my deer camp area. It's about 5,000 acres on each side of the road, but it's definitely not neighborhoody. That's more of just like straight up woods. Mm-hmm. So just trying to compare that to Vermont. Yeah. Yep. So 5,000 is a big old sprawling patch of neighborhoods jutting in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yep.
That sounds really good.
Pretty much, if it's a circle, there's a bunch of parking areas all around the outskirts. It depends on where you want to park that day, where you want to hunt. Yeah.
Are you guys finding that deer are bedding close to the houses in that type of setting, or obviously it changes? But what are they doing with the beds?
We have found that quite a bit too. It seems like they like the light from the house at night. They try to get as close as they can.
They're afraid of the dark.
Pretty much.
Afraid of the coyotes.
Everyone eating everyone's flowers and rhododendrons and all that, so they feel safer near the houses for sure.
I actually did just find that while I was shed hunting. I think 3 sheds ago that I found. I was out in this spot and I could just see the backsides of these houses, and there was a little swamp in between, but they were bedding as close to that swamp in these houses as they could get safely without being seen. Mm-hmm. But that seems to be like a safe haven for them.
I think a lot of time you hear from like Dan Infalt and stuff too. If you guys ever listen to his stuff or watch his videos, that the overlooked spot, and a lot of times I've been finding this too, that they do sometimes like to just look at the parking area. Mm-hmm. Like you go, there's one spot in particular I can think of in this sanctuary that you can't hunt that I like to shed hunt all the time. Is where I found that dead. Or that live buck that was coyotes had eaten him out on the ice. You guys see that video?
Yeah.
Yeah, that same sanctuary, where the place that I parked there's like a swamp along the edge. It's just a very small, when I say swamp, it's just like a really wet spot that no human's going to walk through it, unless you're like me or you got, and you got high boots on, you don't mind going through it. Any of the dog walkers and the recreators aren't going through that. But right on the other side of it, where you can literally, it's like 40 yards from where everybody parks, there's like giant scrapes, there's beds that get used over and over again, there's rubs through there like crazy, and it's just like they can see anybody parking, they can monitor all that activity, and if anybody ever came through the swamp, they got an easy exit, but nobody ever goes through that.
So they're literally watching like, oh, that person's a hiker, no big deal. Oh, that's a hunter.
I'm sure they just lay there and they're never bothered because they know every time someone parks there, they know exactly where they're going. They're going on that trail and it goes away from them.
You're right.
But when you're parking there, I can see, it was cool. I was like, I've heard Dan Infalt talking about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, too bad you can't hunt in this place because then that would be one of those awesome overlooked places to go and hang a stand. You wouldn't want to leave it there so people could see it from the parking lot, but I just think it's something to take away from those suburban spots, dude. Don't be afraid to hunt real close in those overlooked spots.
Yeah, we find a lot of that as well. That and river crossings and road crossings as well. We've been hunting this year.
Yep.
Like you found that really good river crossing that led over to an island, which these deer were bedding on, which was right off of a main road.
Yep, I'm really excited about that this year. Got to get a camera in there probably midsummer.
Yeah, that's I've never hunted a river crossing or a stream crossing yet. I don't have any like locations where I've been where I'm like within eyesight of a stream. Although I know I've heard people do it, so let's talk about that a little bit. It's really easy to see where they're crossing streams, right? If you just walk up a stream bed, you can see where all the mud is trampled up, and you can see those crossings. It's a great spot to put a camera too, right? Do you put cameras up on those?
Yeah. Yep. We put one up on a log just to see what we got for critters going down the log, and we got a couple bobcats and stuff. That was cool, but no, deer love those crossings.
Yeah. So let's explain the one you're excited about now. So what is it like, and why are you excited about this spot?
I've been looking at it on the map for a while, and we finally just got to it. But it's literally like a teardrop that comes in the middle of a marsh, like swamp grass on all sides, and it's just a peninsula.
Love it already.
And there's one way in and one way out, literally, unless they're going through the swamp grass. And Dan and Vault would say they are, but I don't think they are. It's not. They could be, but I don't. I think they're using that little teardrop, that little like pinch point.
What are they using it for?
I bet you that a buck is pushing a doe in there every rut. I guarantee it.
And you don't think the doe is gonna go into the out of it, or? I
think they're just gonna they're gonna feed out of it. Maybe come like daybreak or sunset, like a nightstand sit, because they're gonna be coming out like right before dark. But
bedding in there on that peninsula.
I think a buck is gonna be pushing a doe into that spot. It's just a perfect getaway.
How long is or how big is this peninsula? Like, can you sneak in for an evening sit and not push them out? If they're bedded on the end of the peninsula, can you sneak in?
Definitely. It's like
and set up there so that if they come out that way, you've got a shot out.
It's well far enough out into that marsh spot where like they wouldn't even be able to hear me coming from around the long way to get to that top, like the pinch point spot. So, yeah, I'm super excited about it. Tons of sign in there, tons of droppings, and looks promising.
And you put a camera in there yet, or
not yet? Not yet.
Because you just found it, kind of.
Just found it while we're shed hunting. And it's kind of like, what's the point now if they're going to be growing them? And just want to. I mean, I'd love to get a population count or just like see what's coming in and out now, but might as well just wait.
Yeah, I like to wait until they have some horns.
Yeah,
growing,
exactly. Just to see.
Is it super hard for you to get to it or no?
Kinda. It's a long walk.
Because that's where sometimes people have been telling me, and I got to start doing it. Just carry some cameras with you, even now while you're shed hunting, in case you get into a spot that's like way in there.
Yeah.
Make sure you got some good, some good lithium batteries, and pop it up, and then you can leave it there from now all the way and go check it in October.
Cold weather is probably pretty much over, so it's not going to be draining them at night or anything. It would get that like cold.
Plus, you don't want to go in really when it's like July and there's
spiders.
It's so thick.
I'm such a pussy for spiders.
Dude, me too. I can't. If I get a spider web to the face, like I'm running.
Dude, do you do what I do and carry a stick in front of you?
Yes.
That branches out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do that.
Walk in the woods like that.
Exactly.
Turkey hunting is the same way. You're walking through thick stuff trying to get to a spot, and it's like spider webs to the face while you're turkey hunting.
I hate spider webs to the face.
Ugh.
You know what? The only thing that can make ticks worse than they are is if they made webs.
Yeah.
Man.
I had about 50 on me last weekend. It was awful.
I did yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday it was warm and dry, and oh man, I was going through the woods like making an effort to not touch any brush at all, right? And every time I would touch a piece of brush, I would look down on my pants, and there would be a tick crawling up.
I don't get it. Where did you can't see them? Like, where did they come from?
I don't. That's true. They're just clinging to branches and brush.
What the heck?
Yeah, but I always wondered that too. I'm like, you don't see them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're tiny, but you just don't see them crawling up a branch.
It's weird.
I should have sprayed Permethrin. Everybody should spray their shit with Permethrin now, but I've still been delaying it.
Permethrin?
Yeah.
Really?
You guys don't know? Oh, man.
No, never heard
Spray all your clothes with Permethrin. Sawyer Permethrin. Ranger Ready is a company out of Connecticut. I think they're right out of Lyme, Connecticut, where the Lyme disease originates from. Yeah, dude, Permethrin, if you spray all your hunting clothes or whatever, use the same set of pants or whatever that you're going to go out and do your wood stuff in. Spray it on your boots, on your hat, on your backpack, and it lays down scent free. So once it
soaks into you
have to let it dry in the sun for just like 2 hours, and then you're good. and it gets into the clothes, and if a tick comes in contact with it, it dies immediately.
Okay. Is it pet safe and all that stuff? Like,
yeah, it's pet safe, and once it dries, it's odorless and safe for you to touch and everything, and it can go through like 8 cycles of washing and drying. I think 4 to 8 cycles.
Permethrin. I'm gonna have to remember that.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
I have never had a tick on me after I've sprayed my stuff in Permethrin. It's like
that's crazy.
Being lazy. You should go out, and I should have done it any of these nice days. Lay all my stuff out in the driveway. You spray on a nice layer, you flip it over, you spray it. You just don't want to touch it with your skin while it's wet.
Okay.
You know, but once it dries, it's completely good. Yeah, and then a tick never gets on you.
Okay.
It's awesome.
Good to know.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy you guys didn't know about that. I thought everybody did. But that's a reason, like, I've had Ranger Ready reaching out to be a sponsor, but I'm like, why don't you guys come to Huntstock? I don't know why they're not. Like, people still don't know about Permethrin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because you don't want to spray like bug spray and shit, because then it smells, stinks up the woods.
I know. Even like what's that little thing?
The
like
Thermacell.
Thermacell. I want to use one, but those things stink you up too.
Yeah,
right?
you know they're right out of Massachusetts too. Thermacell.
Really?
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I think Bedford, Mass.
I was looking into Ozonics.
I brought one. It didn't really work last year. I brought one out when I was finding that deer. It was the day after I shot that deer, and I was looking for it, and it was 70 degrees. And I was in a swampy area, and there were mosquitoes everywhere. I brought that Thermacell with me, and I was still getting bit. But
not as bad.
Probably not as bad.
Yeah, it usually takes me, if I'm sitting in a stand, I started using it last September just because they nearly carry you out of the stand in the swamps. Yeah. But it'd take about 10-15 minutes for it to just create that bubble around you. But it would work, definitely.
Do you guys both, do you like hunting swamps? I mean, you're obviously in the peninsula, cattails. It's like, do you guys hone in on swamps?
I feel like that's where a lot of our population is. I mean, we've got a lot of like beach brush areas too, and like big pine forests, but
yeah, I like swamps, definitely.
I think everybody.
I know.
Everybody likes swamps.
What we don't have though is the huge cattails or anything like that. The big tall yellow grasses like you guys have up here. We see them all along the side of 95.
Yeah.
That's something we'd love to hunt someday too.
Yeah. Dude, we're not too far away. Come on up.
Definitely. I know.
Remind me before the end of this, I want to talk about maybe doing some kind of like a Northeastern public land challenge, like, you know, like Hunt Public does, but with some of the content pages.
Yeah, that'd be
and
cool.
like go somewhere that none of us do, like New Jersey or something.
Oh yeah,
right?
totally. So
like
you're not in someone's like home turf or anything. Yeah,
it's like everybody goes somewhere new, and like, wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
And New Jersey has hunts. You can hunt well into January, so we could do it after all of our regular seasons, and we do all that, and like it'd be like a cool like January thing.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Definitely
I think it could be
good
fun. But yeah, so swamps. So Lanny Benoit said swamps. I mean, everybody says swamps, right? But even Lanny Benoit told me, he goes, the key to holding a big buck is a swamp. If you don't got a big swamp around, it's not even worth going to look for a track because it just really is. Swamps hold deer. Humans don't go in them as much as everywhere else.
Yeah.
So it's just natural, right? Like any big swamp, a couple 100 acres, even a smaller swamp probably holds some good ones. But I like looking for 100 to 300 acre swamps at least, you know, that size. I've seen a lot of nice big bucks around swamps that big.
Swamps with like nice oak trees right on the edges and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Killed that one. And a deer that was maybe 40 inches bigger than him the next day after I killed that one from the same stand. A huge 9-pointer came in, and I never got a shot at him, but that's in that same exact type spot. 200 acre swamp. There's a little peninsula, not really peninsula, it's like a corner, and it rises up a little bit, and it's loaded with oak trees. There's like 100 oak trees in there.
Nice.
And I like sitting on the edge of that, and they come out in the evenings there, and actually they're there in the morning too. But yeah, that's the perfect spot. A swamp with an oak, elevated oak ridge.
One thing that's been a wicked big challenge to us, especially this year, that it's worth bringing up, is that we got hit with like those gypsy moths, like wicked bad.
Yeah, Vermont had some of that.
A couple years ago, and it just destroyed the oaks. They're like in this one spot specifically that I was in this year. Like there are no oak trees. Like they're all dead.
And they're dead forever.
It's
not like
it's terrible.
Yep.
And it's been wicked challenging, not only to like find where the deer are feeding and all that stuff, but like you can't even hang your tree stand because I don't feel safe. You know, like where am I? Like I don't want to hang it in a dead oak. I mean, it looks sturdy, but I don't want to chance it.
Yeah.
So it's been pretty tough.
Yeah, so those deer all had to find a different food source.
Yeah, like what are they eating? Like, that's weird.
They didn't just disappear out of there.
They're there, but
did they kill every oak tree in that area?
A lot, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
There's like one, but like, what am I gonna do? Sit over that one oak in hopes?
Yeah.
Like...
Just walking in and out of there is sketchy because you're looking over your head waiting for some of those widowmakers to fall the whole time.
Yeah, it's gotten bad that the state even put up like signs at all the trailheads, like watch out for deadfall because it's that bad. So.
Wow. Have you guys ever been in the woods when a tree is falling next to you or near you?
A branch, not a tree.
Yeah, I had a branch actually almost hit me, like, I think three weeks ago, probably. I had my girlfriend walking with me, and she just looked over at me, and a branch fell right in front of me. It like, almost smoked me in the head.
Oh, man. I've had a couple of trees fall. Once I was sitting in a stand, and I'd just seen this tree. And then ever since then, I think to myself, what the hell would happen if the tree that I'm sitting in just happened to I mean, you'd probably be dead. And I think to myself, like, if my tree, when it starts getting windy and I'm in a tree, I'm like, if this one starts falling, like, what's my plan of action?
Especially if
and I think about
in.
that, and I go, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you have to immediately just unclip.
Yep.
And you have to kind of pick your poison on when you're going to jump off. You have to be smart. Yeah. You have to, like, be in the right state of mind to, like, you know, if it's falling this way, then you have to, like, launch off to the side. If you're going backwards, maybe your best plan of action is just to stay in it, right? And then just think through all those scenarios.
Well, what if it's windy in the dead of morning and it's pitch black and you're sitting in your tree waiting for sunlight and it's windy? Like, what are you gonna do? You can't see anything. So you hear a snap, then you feel yourself going over. Like, what are you gonna do then?
Yeah, there's all those scenarios run through your mind when you're sitting in a stand all day. Yeah, my dad came down last year. He since I've been hunting down here, I'd like to get him down for like 3 or 4 days to hunt. He's 76, I think, this year. He'll be 76 this year. But we went out in the craziest. I didn't even know this storm was coming. Like, we went out. It was nice at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The first day he came, had like 4 hours to hunt, 4 or 5 hours, and I didn't know this storm was coming. I think it just came out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden, trees are falling everywhere in the woods. Giant branches are falling. It's like almost hailing. It's like 70-mile-an-hour winds. My dad and I were just walking the main trail out. There was nothing we could do, and it was fucking terrifying, actually.
Yeah, I bet.
It was like, wow, we should not be out in the woods at all right now. Stuff's falling everywhere.
Yeah. Somebody passed away in Rhode Island this year from that.
Really?
From a deadfall, yeah.
Really? A hunter?
I think it was a guy looking for mushrooms that time of year in the fall, and yeah.
Wow.
Terrible.
I wonder how often that happens. I mean, one thing, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but I learned this in Anticosti. I've hunted up there before. It's in the Gulf of the St. Lawrence, this Quebec island up there, and people go to hunt. A lot of deer, and one day it was really, really windy, and our guide picked us up from our trails. It's mostly a still hunting place. They put you on a trail, and they say, just still hunt through here and do this giant loop, and I'll meet you back here. And picked us up because it was super windy, and we were driving to like a new spot, and here was the biggest buck I've ever seen in Anticosti. They don't get very big there. They're not giant racks. But this one was nice big, probably 10. It was like a 10 or a 12 point wide. Clearly the biggest buck I've ever seen there. We've gone there 3 times. And it was standing out in the open in a swamp. And the guide's driving, my dad's in the front passenger, the swamp's off to the right. I'm back here behind the guide. And my dad wanted to get out, but the guide said, no, don't do that, because you're on his side. If you open the door to get out, he's going to run off. So he told me, he's like, I'm going to slow down and I'm not going to stop, but you get out when I open the door, don't even close it, like on your side. So I jumped out, and he just slowly kept rolling, and when the car passed, like, I lifted, and he wasn't too far, but I completely missed this buck. We looked for it, and I must have completely missed somehow. I can only see his, like, the white of his neck, and I put it right on the white of the neck there. Completely missed him. But all of that leads into, he was telling us, our guy, he's like, when it gets really windy, all the deer go out into the swamps. because they know that trees can fall down everywhere, so they're going into the open area to stay protected.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder, probably the same anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it's a good place to check. If you happen to be in the woods when it's like that, check the more open areas, because the deer probably know that.
Yeah, instinct just takes over, and they flock to areas where they know they're safe and stuff. Yeah, that makes sense.
Also, I've heard, and then I thought I was going to do this last year, but when maple trees, when their leaves will drop before other trees drop sometimes, and I heard that deer love maple leaves. So when the maple leaves drop, it's a good place if you have a big old maple tree, and you know that they're starting to fall, to target that, because they'll come in and vacuum those up.
Interesting.
I didn't really test it at all, but
yep. Good to keep in the back of your mind.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. What's this buck story here?
That's another one that we've been chasing. We've named him the King.
He's a mainframe 12, huh?
Yeah.
With a couple of stickers.
Sad to say, but we kind of stopped thinking about him as much when we found this guy. But
you got to keep tabs.
I know. No, that's just another one we've been chasing.
Only shed you've had him?
Only shed. No, we have another one.
Actually, have another one.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
The way we found this deer originally was he was in my front yard. I just woke up one day and he was standing there.
Wow,
and,
sweet.
One of the guys who owned the property that I was on found his shed in the front yard as well.
Mowing the lawn, yeah.
Yeah, and some real tall grass before I had moved in there. So that's how that story started.
Did he give you that shed?
Yeah, thankfully.
Sweet. So how many years? How old is this?
The shed that he has was probably 3 years before this one.
Oh wow!
So he's another old deer. He's another 7 or 8 year old deer.
Yeah,
about the same exact size as well.
Yeah.
Too.
Wow.
We have wicked trail cam videos of him scraping and stuff. Yeah, incredible. Yeah, that's it.
Don't forget about him, boys.
I know.
Definitely not.
I know. He's running around the public.
Or maybe you should forget about him and he'll just pop up when you least expect it, Sometimes that's how it happens. What's so cool about that one is that G3 is really long for a G3. That's as long or longer than the G2.
It's wicked interesting to me. I brought it up before. He looks the same. This antler was his antler this year. It's just amazing how he can grow the exact thing. Yeah.
Even that little acorn on the top there.
I'll show you another pic. I know the viewers can't or listeners can't.
Want another beer?
Yes, please. I'll just have another rise if you don't mind.
I'll take one as well.
You want a rise?
Sure, sounds good.
Thank you.
I didn't know if there was. I didn't see any cords.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I get through a cords on just into your six bag.
Yep.
Thank you.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, I didn't see that other side. So the other side is a split G2 as well, huh?
Yeah, weird, huh?
Dude, he's a beauty.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a beautiful deer. All right, everybody saw it here, heard it here, and seen the story. Now
you'll see the YouTube video next year of him.
See that YouTube video next year. He's still got a few years, so if you think he's 7.5 or something,
He's still got some growth on him, you think?
Maybe, yeah. Pat Burns' buck was 11.5 this year, and it had years where it went up and down and up. Even when it was 10.5, it was bigger than it was at 9.5. Mm-hmm. It had a fluctuation. 9.5 was downier than 10. He even got bigger.
That's the electric buck, right?
Yeah.
That buck was just phenomenal.
Awesome.
Congratulations, Pat.
Yeah.
It's a really cool story.
Even the photo that they chose for the cover of Northeast was sick. I just love how he had his head down and stuff. I thought it was sick.
Yep. Super cool buck. But yeah, man, you guys will have a story like that with that one.
Hopefully.
So you guys just mainly hunt Rhode Island? Have you hunted anywhere else or all Rhode Island?
I'm just starting to branch out into Connecticut a little bit now. Last year was my first turkey hunt on Connecticut public last year. Got my first bird. It was awesome. So I'm starting to leak into Connecticut a little bit, especially with the deer season. This year, I mistakenly, I put a camera in public on Connecticut. Like, it was soaking all through the rut and everything, and I checked it later on in the season, like December timeframe. There was 5 giants on it.
Nice.
I'm buying my Connecticut archery tags today.
Yes.
I bought them, and I looked at the regulations, and the archery season's already ended. So I was like, what the heck? I had just wasted so much money buying
Have you talked to them about that? They probably...
No, I'll just give it to, it goes to conservation anyway. It's just my contribution. Thanks. It's just my stupidity.
That's like some states where... you buy a fishing license December, and then you're like, oh shit, that's only for a month.
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, I'm definitely leaking into Connecticut. I'm super excited for turkey season again this year there, and yep.
Yeah, you're allowed quite a few birds out there.
5 birds in
compared
Connecticut.
to us.
Well, dude, there's so many birds around. I was driving my kid to daycare this morning, and there was a big tom in the middle of the road, and both sides of the traffic had to stop. The tom was kind of just walking at this car and kept pushing. For some reason, that car kept reversing. Oh no, I'm under attack. And I was just watching that one tom, but I realized later, I was like, oh man, there's 10 toms in the yard right to the left of it. Oh. Yeah, they're just all over the place here, man. And again, this is a town here. You can't shoot gun. There's no discharge laws. So if you wanted to hunt turkeys, you'd have to be on private land with permission and using a bow.
Yeah,
right. They make it really hard to kill a turkey here.
Definitely.
So the population explodes.
Yeah, I'm really focused on trying to get a turkey this year with my bow.
Do you guys do turkey content on your page?
We haven't yet, but we have stuff soaking that's going to be released this spring.
Oh, good.
We tried last year. I don't know, it was my fault. I got super busy and just never edited the video. But yeah, we're
all guilty of that.
I know.
When it comes to editing, it's just I've got piles of footage that I mean to get to, and then it will not see the light of day probably.
Yep. And that's kind of how our channel started anyway. We've been filming our hunts for probably maybe 7 years, but I just never made a video. And we're like, what are we doing? Let's finally just make our channel. And we finally just made a video.
When did you guys start the channel?
This is our 3rd season. So
oh really?
We're going into our 4th
relatively
now.
New.
Yeah, it's pretty new.
I think our big thing too was we were just before the hunting public came out, there was no real relatable content. I mean, I'm sure there was a little bit trickling through, but we just wanted to make something that for the people that have nothing to watch, that are watching, these hunts over the huge crop fields out in Iowa and Kansas, and it's just
it's not relatable.
It's unrelatable.
Yeah,
completely.
For sure. And before Hunting Public came out, it was Midwest Whitetail was the big one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have awesome stuff like Whitetail Adrenaline, but they don't put their stuff on YouTube. It's all DVD and stuff like that. Those guys are awesome. Their stuff was cool. But other than that, it was big cinematic stuff with music and this big sweeping, which is cool, but that gets boring. Mm-hmm. People want to see your personality a little bit and your friendships and your camaraderie with each other, and that's the kind of stuff that I think is really taken off. Hunting Public does it well. Just Hunt Club is doing it real well now, and you guys do it really well. That's the good stuff right there,
Cool. Yeah, I love seeing all the different people and just their approaches and where they're going, their stands and stuff. Seeing with their tactics. It's just cool.
What are some of your guys' other favorite channels to watch? Maybe there's some that people don't know about.
I really like the Northeast wise. I really like Jeff Doyle.
Yeah, Jeff's
he's wicked cool. Just because I don't hunt his style, so I like watching it because it's cool to me.
Yeah.
Wicked cool. Who else? Hunting Public, obviously, it's a given.
Is it Big Woods Buck Trackers?
Yeah, Big Woods Bucks.
Yeah.
Yep.
They honestly, I just love watching people track deer too. It's foreign to us. We've just kind of gotten our feet into it.
I think it's the coolest content.
It really is
because
awesome.
it's constant action, right? You're always moving, so tracking is really good content to shoot.
Yep.
We've gotten into it a little bit. But we don't get much snow either, so it's not an easy thing to do. But.
Yeah. Definitely different than in the mountains.
Yeah, usually run out of legal hunting area before you find the deer.
Yeah, and that's a no-no. So let's talk about your strategies a little bit. How do you get into a location where, you found where that buck ended up? How did you get into that
area. You didn't just happen upon him first and then that showed you the area, right? Were you there and scouting it? Were you guys in that location because you had cameras up and you saw mature bucks, or like how did you hone in on a location like that?
We had never been in this specific piece before. It's a very small piece, maybe 30 acres, bow hunt only. Well, it's like we were just sitting around one day. Let's go check it out. It was during the spring, I believe. Like, pretty green. It was pretty green based on the pictures I'm thinking of in my head. And we're just scouting around, and we just happened to find a huge shed, and that was it for us. Like, we found that shed, and we're like, yes, this is gonna be our spot for the fall. Nope, different one.
Different deer too.
Different deer completely, and
so there's something about this area. That's what I want to try to delve into a little bit. There's something about this area that is holding big mature bucks. So let's unpack that for the listeners a little bit without giving away the spot. But
I think Onyx was the biggest revolutionary tool that's how we found the spot initially. We were just going through Onyx, and when they list all these giant management areas, they don't tell you that there's 6 little pockets of it on these side roads in different areas, and Onyx just shows it for you right on the map. So we were like, okay, let's go check out these small areas that anyone who doesn't have the app can't find. And there's no signs. So I think we did a lot of that first year, and then
absolutely
slowly found big scrapes, throwing in trail cameras, and the basics just to make sure food sources were there and there was some place to get water. And that's.
Do you guys use cell cams at all?
Yep. Just started getting into it this year. This is our second year using them, and that's a great tool.
That peninsula spot would be a great spot.
Because you just never go back there again.
And just like, there it's going through the highway to the peninsula. Probably gonna be bedding there.
Yeah, let me go there tomorrow morning. Yeah, perfect. But is that cheating though?
So that buck, I don't know if you guys heard the story of that one, but that buck was a buck that it was triggered by a cell cam back behind my house. I was not even planning on hunting like you. I had hunted like hard for a long time, and this was a December deer, and it was like hunted hard, and I was like, I'm gonna take this Saturday off. And it was pouring rain that day. It's supposed to be windy and pouring, so I was like, all right, perfect. I'll edit a podcast, and I'll take the Saturday off. And like 10 o'clock, a bunch of does went by my cell cam that I have at the corner of my property down there. And it was a bunch of does that they were sprinting through. So something had pushed them. And I was like, nobody's going to be out in their right mind is going to be out right now while it's pouring rain and windy. So I don't think a human pushed them. So maybe I'll go check it out. Threw on my stuff, grab my bow, walk down there. Those does were nowhere to be seen. But I get down to the corner and kneel behind a tree, and I see this tiny doe out of the corner of my eye, and I start watching her. She's coming in towards me, and she was this year's fawn, right? And she's making her way she's only like 30 yards away, and I'm behind this big tree. And I noticed after watching her for about a minute and a half, I noticed she's stopping and looking behind her. So I look around the other side of the tree to see what she's looking at, and he was coming in. He was right behind her, and he must have been what pushed those does through.
Nice.
So, I ended up getting him, and it was really cool that first time, but I don't know that I would want to get a deer like that again. You know what I mean? Like, it did feel a little bit like, well, I would have never gone out to hunt because if that cell cam wasn't there, that cell cam gave me an idea that something was in the area. I'm going to go down and check it out. It was like an immediate satisfaction. That was after a long hunt, though. I was happy to end a long season. I was happy to end my season, but and I'm cool with it. It's my first deer like that, and it will be my only deer like that, I think, because I don't know if I would want to do that again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just asking just based off like interest in what you thought. Like, I have no opinion either way.
But that's like,
it's just,
you
just makes you think.
It's a good question to talk about, because some states will have that law, right, where you can't hunt for 48 hours or 24 hours or whatever after getting a picture. You can't hunt that location. I like that. I think I like that.
What states are doing those?
New Hampshire has that.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So if you get actually, I think it's I don't know the law exactly, but I think it's you can't hunt the same calendar day as you get a picture sent to you. So a lot of guys will get pictures sent to them at 11:59. They'll set their cameras to like send them at 11:59 p.m. that day. Right?
So they can do something next morning.
Yeah, because like mine was on immediate. It's a 2-minute delay. I got pictures, and it was 2-minute delay, and then I was down there 5 minutes later. So it was 7 minutes after I got the picture, I was down there. And I think, states like New Hampshire that have that kind of, they don't want that to be a part of it. Because and honestly, I don't think I agree with it. I think it's not fair chase. If everybody was doing that, it's too much technology. I think there is a point where there's a little bit too much. But they're great freaking tools.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely.
And if it's out in the deep, big woods and you're using it to monitor what's going through and stuff and help you pattern deer if you can, and I'm all for it,
It's just an unbeatable tool. You don't have to you don't have to bring your scent in there every time you check it. I mean, it's just amazing. So
I have the Spy Point with the solar charger on top of it and has a lithium battery, the rechargeable one inside of it, and I swear, I think it's been 2.5 years and I haven't charged it once.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Like, wow.
That's sweet.
Mind blowing.
Yeah. So you leave your you get charged monthly and you leave it on all year, or is that?
It just stays on all year, and the solar panel on top of it charges the.
What is Spy Point? So is it like?
It's
$10 a month, or it's free?
It's free up to 100 pictures, and then anything over 100, I think, what's it, $5
per month though. So you get 100 photos a month, but if you get over that mark, then it stops sending you photos unless you pay. Yeah. So it's like $5 for.
So you probably set it on one photo, not a burst and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And try to keep it under 100.
Low sensitivity. Yeah.
Low traffic areas.
Yeah. Yeah, because sometimes I'll get thousands of pictures in a month from a camera.
I just set my camera up looking at my front door because I just went away for a week.
Yep.
So and we're expecting our new bows to come in from Bear. So I'm like, I'm gonna be away, and that box is gonna be sitting on my front steps. So I set my trail cam up, but it was just cocked enough where it was getting so much traffic going by my house, so I got like 1 million pictures a day. I was like, this sucks.
Dude, that's awesome. I forgot. Yeah, congrats on the Bear sponsorship. That's cool.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's the same company that Trophy Ridge, I believe, is part of that same umbrella. Yep. Yeah, those guys sponsored my podcast the first year.
Cool.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yep. From what we've dealt with, they've been great.
Yeah, we're just excited to get the ball rolling. It's really just the beginning right now. We really haven't started promoting anything yet or used any equipment yet. Yeah. So we're just waiting for some stuff to come in, and that's why I'm excited to shoot a turkey with my bow this year, because I've never done it for one, and I'm just excited to do it.
Yeah, and it gives you an excuse to go out and try it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it comes to sponsorships, I always find it's you don't want to overdo it. You don't want it to feel like all you're doing is promoting it, right? Yeah. It's it's going to be naturally, and that's what the sponsor wants to, is they want to seamlessly integrate to what you're doing. They don't want to force you to use something you're not using, and they don't want you to do extra plugs. They just want you to be you. Yeah. Which is great.
Yeah. Yeah, and the guy that got us into it, he's really down to earth and really kind of agrees with what we want to do, so it was really cool.
Yeah.
So we're excited.
That's really cool. Congrats on that. All right, so let's get back to that big buck zone though, right? So it's kind of an overlooked spot, right?
Yeah. Yep.
It's smaller piece of conservation. There has to be some kind of cover, right? What's the cover that they're staying in? Is it swamp?
It's laurel. Mountain
yep.
laurel.
See, there it is again. That's what Pat Burns says constantly. That's what every big buck killer is saying. Laurel.
Yeah,
we've got a lot of it down
Tons
there.
of it around.
Yeah.
Stuff that you don't even want to walk through. It's that bad.
Totally.
And they're in there heavy.
Yeah.
But they don't come out either. It's what the heck?
Yeah.
We just left a camera in the middle of some that we're not looking forward to getting.
Yeah. I don't remember how to get there.
Yeah, see, that's where a cell cam comes in.
Yeah. Yep.
Throw the Spy Point in there. Yeah. Yeah, so Laurel, man, it's funny. I have not found the place that I hunted when I first started hunting Massachusetts 2016 or so. So 2016 I got a bow. When I was telling you guys this is my third year. This is my third year seriously bow hunting, but 2016, 2017, 2018 I would go out once or twice. I lived in Quincy, Mass, and I didn't, I was still in the mindset of I need to find a big patch of woods, and where is that? And I was you can't hunt in the suburbs. There's no deer in the suburbs. That's what I was thinking. So I would drive hour and a half, I think, was the closest like big patch out to like central Massachusetts and to this one spot. And there was laurel there. And the first time I ever sat there, I didn't even have tree stands or anything. I wasn't big into bow hunting. I sat on the ground next to a pine tree with my bow on my lap, and I had a buck sneak right up on me, and the very first time I hunted in Massachusetts, and I was like, man, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
It was kind of a small buck. It was like a little 6-pointer, but I didn't get a shot off on him, but that kind of got me thinking, So I went back to that spot 2 or 3 times, and that place was covered in laurel. And that's the only place I've ever hunted with laurel. There's just none of it around around here. Where I live, where I hunt, there's none of it. So it's interesting. I wonder, like, where does that thrive? I mean, does it have to be?
I know. Maybe
higher elevations because it's mountain laurel, or does it can it?
I mean,
we have it right down near the beach where I am too. So
yeah, you guys are definitely more elevated here in Massachusetts than we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. It's just I don't know how they move through it. Like especially the bigger bucks. Like how are they getting their antlers like all in between all the branches? It's just crazy.
Yeah, Pat said when the electric buck was coming in, it kind of looked like Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
where
moving.
the canopy is moving around because it's just busting through that thing. I mean, they just must get used to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is true though. Like when they are coming out of the mountain, it's a deer when it's not a squirrel. Like it's a deer coming out. Like it's a distinct sound when they're coming out of the laurel.
Yeah, because you just hear it.
Yep.
Do you guys throw on your Onyx tracker when you're going through the laurel?
No.
No?
I don't use the tracker as much as I should.
I just did when I found this, and I was extremely thankful that I did. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had it on maps marked.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just started kind of going through that and using it. But
that's something I use all the time on Onyx.
Mm-hmm.
All the time.
Shed hunting and stuff?
Yep. Oh, yeah. Especially shed hunting.
Yeah, just so you can see where you went.
I don't use it much when I'm actually deer hunting, but shed hunting, yeah. Yeah, you can see what areas you've covered. So if you find one like that and you're like, I need to find that other one, you can look and say, oh, I left a little gap right there. Let me go check that one again and cross cut it. And then some days I like to just turn it on. If there's snow on the ground, turn it on and find the best game trail where it's well beaten down and just follow that.
Okay.
No matter where it goes, and follow it. And then change it to a different color, and I know that's the heavy game trail. So if you do enough of those, you can look at a map from zoom out and go, all right. So they always go along. There's the best game trail there. Oh, and it intersects here with this one. Oh, I bet you there's probably a nice community scrape at the intersection. Let's go hone in on that a little bit. It just adds some data to what you're doing,
You might as well do that while you're shed hunting too, just kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You're not just doing it to walk the trails, but you're looking for sheds.
It drains your battery quite a bit, but bring an extra battery with you. I always bring a portable chargeable battery with me when I'm in the woods too, so you can recharge if you need to. But and that tracker feature, last year I used it, and always marking bedding and feeding areas while shed hunting. Big scrapes, you can still see all the scrapes, marking those down. And yeah, next year you never know when it might be a spot you hardly ever hunt, right? But you're like, I want to go back to that spot for some reason. Or you zoom out in your map and you're looking for, you can color code all your stuff. So community scrapes, you have a different color. So you just
we do that. Yeah, we have a specific color. We share our Onyx membership, and it's his color is purple or something. It's so we know if he marks something oh, that Dan marked that. Otherwise, just a cluster of all these pins, nobody knows what it is. We had to refresh it last year. Let's just clean it, wipe it out and start from scratch.
After 2 or 3 years, it was just
oh my
done.
god,
So
yeah.
Think about the size of Rhode Island. It was just
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, I know. I've done that too, where I just delete a bunch of tracks. But yeah.
Yeah, after a while, what did I mark that for? I forget. Yeah, you gotta edit it and type in.
How are you guys choosing where you're doing your preset? Because you're hanging some hang-ons, right?
Yep.
So what are you how you choosing where those are going? How many do you have? How many stands do you guys have out in the woods?
I don't know, 3 each.
Yeah, usually 3.
Yeah, I a couple climbers, couple hang-ons. Yeah, at first we're man, we're gonna get some hang-ons and pack them in, pack them out, all these big cool guys are doing on YouTube, and like, I'm like, God, this thing's so heavy. Like, I'm not doing this every time, so I started leaving a couple here and there, and like we rotate through stands and stuff, but it's way harder than it looks on YouTube.
Yeah, it sure is.
Especially if you're filming too.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
and setting up quietly on top of it.
Yeah, the gear that you have to bring, like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So heavy, and I'm only like 150 pounds, like, not that big of a guy. So
Yeah,
wicked
exactly.
Heavy, wicked heavy. Good. What about you? Like, are you packing in and out, or do you have like some stand? Like,
no,
some sets?
I actually like I do have some hang-ons, and I have like 2 of them preset, and I hunted one of them 3 times, and the other one I never even sat in it this year. And I'm definitely more of like I like my climber that I have. I use a climber a lot, and I don't mind carrying that in because I'm not going too. I don't have too many spots where it's a real long walk in, so. Taking the climber is pretty easy, half a mile at most. I'm going in for what I've been hunting recently. I have a ladder stand that I need to find a spot for. I have a tripod stand that I put in like, the CRP type stuff where there's no mature trees. It's just a bunch of scrub trees everywhere.
That's cool.
And bushes. And I've actually never even hunted out of that once. I've had that for 2 years, and I put that in a spot, but I never end up. I just go where I want to go that day.
Yeah. Is wind a big factor too? Like what you're choosing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yep. Yeah, wind is like the main factor.
Yeah.
I look the night before. I'll check what the wind's going to be the next day, and have a few places in mind, and then I will check it again in the morning and see if it changed at all. But yeah, the wind is like the biggest factor. That's what I learned the most from this podcast, from interviewing a ton of people, was just like how much wind. I didn't care much about wind before, and I think that's because I grew up hunting in the Vermont deer camp where everybody had their set spots and they went there no matter what.
Right.
On opening day, they're always there. It doesn't matter what the wind was doing, and that was always my mentality. But knowing the wind and then getting to your stand with the wind in mind too. Like for people watching who don't know, anybody who's new to hunting, if the wind is coming this way, then you obviously want to be in a stand facing that wind where it's coming in.
Yeah.
And you should try to enter this way with the wind in your face and not get out in front of it at all, because that if you come in this way at all of that scent, first of all, any deer approaching is going to smell it. So like, just try to access your spots with the wind in your face the entire time, and then sit
access
there.
routes huge.
Yep.
Another guy that I like listening to is Dan Johnson, Nine Finger Chronicles. Have you ever listened to him?
I've heard of that page. I think I subscribed to the page, but I haven't. Does he have a podcast?
Yeah, he has a podcast.
Okay, yeah, I haven't heard it.
Yeah, he talks about access routes a lot, and like that was his main key, is just access routes. Like I don't care, that's what you have to think about.
Yeah,
and it just got me thinking too.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's one of the most important things is how you're getting into your stand. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which I never thought about when I was hunting in Vermont, just ever. So ingress, the whole ingress, and another thing to talk about quite a bit too is like when you're in a suburban area or neighborhoody type or a place with a lot of trails and walking trails, like I don't think your scent matters as much, like in terms of like blowing up a spot. Like I think you can go in quite a bit
and not worry about.
But your scent matters, like if all of a sudden, in that peninsula spot or something, if they're sent out on the end of that, all of a sudden that's going to matter because they know that.
Because they're used to just going back and forth.
Yeah, that's normally their safe spot. If there's a trail near that somewhere, they know the scent's there, and that's why they've hung out in that peninsula. Mm-hmm. So it's like there's little micro areas you got to be careful around. But
sure. Yeah, I just got to get close enough where they can't smell.
Yeah. Have you guys noticed that in the trail spots that because initially you'll think, oh, this place has a million trails in it. There's never going to be any deer in there at all. But that's wrong. They have to live there. They just have to deal with it. So
that's a perfect example.
So like at first it's like you're afraid of hunting in a place with a lot of trails, but then you realize they just don't care about that. They are used to all that traffic.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yep.
And they learn how to avoid it, and
They just watch the hikers go by. Like, they just stand there and watch them until they out of sight, and then they continue on what they're doing. Like, you're right. They do not care about those people at all because they know they're safe.
Because you probably have been hunting and been watching a deer and then also had a biker or a dog walker going, whether it's inside or just out of range or whatever, and you watch the deer and see what they do. It's
Definitely.
like, I love doing that, where it's just like, let's see. Oh, they're not even paying any attention. Like, they don't, it's not even like they look like, nope, they're just acting completely normal.
Most of the time, most people have a dog or something too. Like, they don't even care about the dog.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
But they know when they see that guy dressed looking like a tree. They better
watch out
run.
for him.
Oh, they're too smart.
You guys get picked off a lot?
I don't.
So far, like, because again, I haven't done too much bow hunting, just a few years of serious bow hunting. I haven't been picked off yet, like on a draw. Not.
I had a couple occasions this year where I got picked off because I was moving the camera around, like swinging the camera arm, like worried about the video footage way too much, and he picked me off because of it. And it's just like, damn, you know, like,
And
shame
blew,
on
it
me.
Blew an opportunity
Yeah,
that you were going to shoot. Yeah,
blew a huge opportunity for me, and like I
was
think
it a big buck.
Yeah, yep.
Oh damn.
I know. And 2 encounters with him this year, the same buck both times, and one mistake was overcalling the first time I saw him. Just rattled him in. He came in on a dime, maybe like a half an hour after my rattling sequence, and he was walking adjacent to a stone wall. I was on the other side of the stone wall. That was my mistake number 1. I had hiked into the spot, found a bunch of good sign, was like, I'm sitting here, but instead of sitting on the other side of the stone wall where I thought they were going to come from, I put myself, like, the stone wall's in the middle. Mistake number 1.
Why was that a mistake?
Because the deer just didn't want to cross it. Like, there was no way for them,
You didn't have an angle to shoot over?
No, I was probably 50 yards away from the stone wall.
Oh, okay.
Like, I wasn't behind the stone wall.
That's why. All right,
I was 50 yards behind, like, away from the stone wall, and the deer came, you know, from in front of me, like, right to the stone wall, and stopped.
Yeah.
And didn't see any
Would you say whenever you can then, did that teach you a lesson? To
Absolutely.
Like, put your stand as close to the stone wall as you can instead? Just because then at least...
I was on the ground for one, so I didn't bring a stand that day. I had hiked in. I just sat on a down tree, like right up against it. Put my camera arm on the tree, knelt down, and was just going down with my rattling antlers and stuff. And he came right in. And but where you're getting at, like, I should have thought, you know, where do I think the deer's going to come from, and then thought of that stone wall. He's not going to want to hop it or anything.
And stone walls are natural edges for them to walk along.
Fence lines is like the same thing. Yeah, and he stopped at the stone wall, looked around, walked down the wall, and I got out of sight, and I was like, oh, he's gone, so let me try rattling again. That was my huge mistake, because he was just right over there, like, looking around, and I didn't see him.
There was no...
Yeah, so I just started banging the antlers again, and he was, like, right there, like, whoa, like, this is not right. And he just, like, took a couple bounds and, like, turned back and looked, and I was like, yeah, you're done. So it got dark, and I just snuck out. Then I didn't see him again for another month, like, right around Thanksgiving. I rattled him in. I was walking to my stand, jumped a deer. He blew at me. Bounded up a hill. This was dark. I was walking my stand and at first light, and bounded up the hill. I got into my stand and then hit the antlers together at first light, and he came grunting down the hill, like, ready for a fight. And I was just shaking and had the camera on him, and he stopped. He was staring. We probably had to stare down.
You were on the ground again?
No, I was in my stand.
Okay, yeah.
He was, like, probably 40 yards through some thick brush. I just needed him to, like, take this one trail, like, loop around me, and he put his head down to, like, move, and instead of just, like, getting ready for a shot, he just, like, swung the camera arm to get ready to, like, position the camera, and he just saw that movement, and it's just done. Just pinpointed me right away. Just bam, right there, locked on me.
Yeah.
It's like, just mistakes, you know.
Is that a buck that you knew was in that area and you had him on cams and stuff, or?
Yeah, I was probably, like, maybe a half a mile away from the first encounter with him.
Yeah.
And I definitely knew he was around.
Yeah, so it was one that you were hunting.
And he came in to the rattling, like, twice, you know, almost, like, 20 days apart. So he was, like, definitely a dominant buck. Like, he was definitely aggressive. So he just responded to those rattling antlers, like, wicked good.
Do you guys call a lot?
No, this is the first time I've rattled, really, like, someone tipped me off that like was a fan of our page, like, hey, you should really try rattling. I'm like, I would never rattle in Rhode Island. Like, that's like a Texas thing, like an Iowa thing. Like, there's not fighting going around.
It's just a thing where there's a lot of bucks.
Yeah,
that's it. Yep. There just needs to be a lot of bucks.
Never. Like, I always think if I bang antlers together, like I'm scaring away deer because.
So I have seen that too.
In Vermont, it's like that. There's not a lot of bucks where I'm at, you know. But
it's just gonna scare them away. Like they're not used to that sort of thing. So I would never think of doing it. Man, this buck came in twice, like on a beeline to me, ready to look. Like, holy crap, I've never had that happen. So I'm hooked on rattling now. I'm doing it every time I'm in the stand.
Yeah, it's one of those things like you think, but then after you know, if you know there's quite a few bucks in the area, it's obviously a thing that they do and that they hear all the time, you know, because they're fighting constantly from pre-rut to the end of the rut. Anytime two bucks are crossing paths with each other, they're going to be tickling their antlers, probably.
It's just weird that you don't see it that often when you're out in the woods. Like, as much as you hunt, you never once hear it or see it for yourself. It's just one of those.
How many times do you see multiple bucks? I mean, I did this year, and I had two different sits where I had bucks fighting in front of me this year, which was cool. And normally you don't have. I honestly like you don't have it a lot, right? But if there's multiple bucks in the area and it's the rut, there's a good chance you're going to see it. It's just how often do you see multiple bucks at the same time? You know, in the rut phase, it's either chasing, there's a buck on a doe, and then there's another one, you know, 20 yards behind, but you don't really see them walking in or just moseying around, right? But they're just always fighting. Yeah. Did you use horns, like your own, or like a rattle bag, or
no, just like regular like sheds that I found that I put together, you know? Yeah, so it was definitely realistic sounding. But I don't know what I was thinking the first time when I thought rattling him in a second time was a good idea. I don't know. I was just like in the moment, like, I need to get him back, you know?
Don't go.
Stupid. So stupid. So stupid. He was just like, he was just there watching, you know, just from out of sight, like still there. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, that was one thing I experienced this year. I rattled in my really good spot, a huge mature 9 that I was going after. And there was like a nice mature 8, beautiful 8 in there, and then a big ass 7, and it was like there's a lot of nice bucks in that area. So the first time I sat there, it was like November 4th. I'm like, all right, it's a nice cool morning, and I rattle like 7 a.m. I rattle, like it's been sitting for like an hour a day later or something. And I start rattling, and like it was 15 seconds before I heard ch-ch-ch-ch-ch-ch, and I look up the hill, and there's a buck. And there's another buck, and there's another buck. There's 3 bucks coming down the hill from that rattle. And then the 2 bigger ones start fighting each other. And like there's a spike horn watching them fight. The 2 bigger ones are fighting each other. And it's not the giant 9, it's like the 7 and the 8. And they're fighting each other, and this spike's watching. And it's like, I don't know, did I just start that?
Right?
Like, did I start that? Or were they already like, you know, coming down the hill? It seemed like they had to have been because they were there on me instantly almost. I hung the horns up as soon as they came down. I like put my horns in my bag and I'm watching them, and I'm just thinking to myself, where is that freaking huge 9? And they're fighting for like 35 seconds before I see out of the corner of my eye some movement, and there was that big 9 just slowly walking in, evaluating the situation. Those other deer came down so fast and were like quick to get in there and just start fighting, and you could just tell they were a level below this other deer.
Sure.
And that buck was like, there's something up.
He
like,
just,
I know he knows all the bucks that are there. He was hanging out with a 4 buck group. You know, he knew it didn't come from them, and he was just like, what the hell was that? And he knew, and it was just nuts how he came in, and he was 30 yards away from me, but he was making sure that I had no shot. He like knew exactly where the sound came from.
Yeah.
So like I see him coming in, but he's staying behind all these pines, and then he dips down a little bit because there's a ridge that I'm level with. Like my stand is on a tree that's down 20 yards away, but my stand's high enough that I'm level with the ridge he's walking on. He dipped down over that side of it so I could just like see his rack, and he's walking around. Then he circles around in front of me to the perfect downwind, and he stops behind the biggest tree there is. While the other bucks are just still fighting and stuff, 50 yards away from me. He's 25 yards away from me, but there's no shot. He's behind. He approached it perfectly.
Yep.
And he stayed there for 25 to 30 minutes, where I didn't see him for that. I didn't see him for 25 minutes,
And I was just like questioning, did he get out of there? And I just don't know. He was still behind that tree, and then I would just see, I saw a tine move from that. He stood right there for 25 minutes trying to figure shit out.
Wow.
And then those other bucks went up the hill again, and he just slowly walked up the hill, just completely away from me, you know, with absolutely no shots. And he just played me. Like, he was wise. He knew.
Yeah.
He knew. And that's what scares me with rattling, because I never saw him again. That was November 4th. I didn't get him on a camera again. I thought maybe he'd be dead because I haven't seen him. And then I went in there shed hunting like last week, maybe, a week ago. And I pulled the camera that I had in there, and I had a cell cam on the same tree. And that was sending me pictures all the time, and he still hadn't gone through. So sometimes I'll do that. If I don't know if the cell cam is actually taking pics, I'll put another camera on the same tree right under it, but it's not a cell camera.
Okay.
Just in case it's a fail-safe. Mm-hmm. And I checked that one, and he was there.
No way.
In early February. So he went through. He still had horns, and he's alive, so that's cool. But
that's cool.
I think he avoided that entire area because I rattled that day.
Yeah.
And he knew something was up. I could tell. He knew everything about it. He never went back to that area until February.
That's my worry too. Like, that sounds like a bigger buck. Like, I'm getting out of here, you know? Like, I don't know. Are the sizes of the antlers, they matter. Like, the sound matters.
Yeah.
It's weird.
And also, like, if it's early on in the season, then you just want to, you don't want to go aggressive. You just want to.
Because they just tickle them together.
Yeah, they'll just kind of like do that early in like October.
Lackadaisic kind of.
So you don't want to be smashing them in like the early season. You want
November I was
really
smashing them.
Yeah.
Like, the biggest fear is just giving away your position. That is always my thing about it. I haven't done much rattling. I think I've tried it once, but
I know, because you always like.
Stealth is your number one.
Yeah,
it's like we're assassins, you know. An assassin wouldn't be freaking coughing if you're sneaking into a house to kill someone.
Yeah,
right. That's what. So you don't want to ever give it up, but I know it's a big hesitancy.
What about like the way like you're blowing your grunt tube or your doe bleat can, like it's up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no does don't fly.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what?
I think that's why you picked me off.
Who's that? Like you were telling me, someone like had their bleat can on a string.
Oh, on a string, yeah. They keep it at the bottom of the tree.
Yep. People do that with the rattling horns too.
Yeah, that's such a good idea.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's why. I think rattling from the ground is probably better because of that. Because at least it sounds like you're on the ground.
Yeah, because then you can hit the leaves and do all that stuff too. Like I love that stuff.
I feel like hunting public was the first one to kind of
for sure
get that gone with.
They had me doing that
with Zach Barenbow on the ground, just slashing leaves and shaking branches.
It's good. It's entertainment.
Hilarious.
Yeah, they had me doing that.
But yeah, I mean, it really is what happens. So
yeah,
whatever you can do to kind of resemble that noise.
Yep. Like just imagine like 4 buddies meeting up. You know, you guys are all hunting different spots. Where you're like, hey, let's just meet up over here in this knob around noon. And we'll all just like smash horns like this.
Right. One person on the grunt tube, one person on the horns, one on the doe bleat. No.
Have you guys ever done utilized snortwees?
Mm-hmm. This buck, the one that the one I shot from the ground, it's on my channel. I snortweezed him in.
Oh, you did, yeah. Yeah, I gotta watch that one again.
Yeah, I thrashed around in leaves he was with the doe. Doe came in, didn't see me, moved off, and I just thrashed around. Snortweezed in my mouth, you know. He came right in from that. It was crazy. First time I've ever done that.
Yep.
It's gnarly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I played with that a few years ago, just on a little buck that I had jumped somewhere. I jumped on, I pulled out the binoculars, and I was like, oh yeah, here's a little buck, and let's play with him. Why not? Anytime you can do that, I think you have to do that, right? If you're not going to shoot him, whatever, just like try stuff and learn stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I snortweezed him, and it got him to come back in. I haven't done it with a mature buck yet.
That's cool.
But back on the rattling thing, multiple times I've rattled and been able to successfully rattle a buck in, but only to about 50 or 60 yards. They seem to like hold up there. That's what's been sketching me out about rattling. I still do try it sometimes, but the bigger ones, I have not been able to get one to come real close to me. I get them to come in a little bit and check it out, and they'll get curious enough to like scope out the situation from afar, but not get in enough to give me a shot.
kind of just like the mindset of turkey hunting too. Like if a tom is hung up and like you have a live hen around poking around your decoy, like that's just foolproof. Like he'll come in because of that.
Yeah.
If you have like another deer around or something, the deer comes in.
Yeah.
The buck will feel comfortable coming in. I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, a bunch of stuff to play around with.
I think it's the coolest thing when you actually hear like a buck grunting and he's coming in, like you hear the grunt in the wild. I think that's one of the coolest things.
Yeah.
It's always so different than, not as different as the way I'm doing it, but it's always like, I think my grunt tube is way deeper.
That's
than, like,
another great point, dude.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's so different.
Had that same thought millions of times.
It's so weird.
It's like no grunt tube actually sounds like what the bucks sound like when they're coming in.
Yeah.
This is what the buck sounds like when they're coming in. Wait. It's like when you're trying to get a burp out, but you barely get one, and it's barely out of the back of your throat. That's what, like,
so weird.
That wasn't even it what I just did there. I tried to do it.
No,
once in a
I know
while,
what you mean.
You know what I mean? Where, like, if you can eke out a burp.
It's weird.
If you could eke one out, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. And
It's
they're
not
never
the-
doing any of those, like, yeah, it's never that.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Weird. Even in the mature buck I had come in, it was like almost sounded like when you put your grunt tube to like the young buck. Like
Yeah, exactly. It's just this weird. It's this weird sound that hasn't been mimicked yet by any grunt tube.
Huh.
It really is.
I'm glad to hear that if someone else has that thought.
Oh
too.
yeah. I even thought about it, and every once in a while, I'll like have an accidental burp come out. Well, not when I'm hunting, but I'll be like, oh, that's the sound. That's
Only
it.
could harvest it.
So I
somehow.
try to replicate it. I haven't been able to yet, but if you can do that, then yeah, it's a weird sound, man. It's not. It isn't like those grunt tubes. Rattle and horns sound just like deer, but yeah, nobody can get that.
Doe bleat
down.
sounds pretty similar.
Yeah.
The doe bleat can is pretty good. It sounds exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
I've been starting to like not use it. You know how you like tip it upside down, like hold the hole. I've been blowing into like the hole. It's like a completely different
I've heard
tone.
people doing that. Yeah.
It's weird. I think that is like that's been working for me. It's more of like a lower. You can get like a more drawn out bleat from it. Try that.
Have you got a mature buck to come in with that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. One of the biggest bucks I've ever shot was from a bleat can.
Sweet. Yeah. I haven't had that yet. Talk to some people who think that deer have become like they've evolved to recognize that call in some areas.
From a hunter, you mean?
Yeah, like over the course of however long that can's been around, 40 years or whatever, you know, that if it's overutilized in one spot, then like
They
generations know. But
Yep.
I don't know. I have no idea. It's just something I've heard. But it wouldn't stop me from turning it.
No. You know, sometimes you feel like you can just make the action happen with that thing.
What else we want to talk about, boys? How do you guys get your deer out of the woods? You use carts, sleds.
We just
drag
been
'em.
dragging,
Yeah.
yeah. But I think we should try different tactics.
Yeah, oh man. Usually it reminds us how
Yeah.
badly out of shape we are our first year of the season.
Yeah. One deer I dragged out like by tying a rope to his horns and like using a stick to like drag down.
That's the old school way. Yeah.
Yeah, but then like some other people were tipping me off on like commenting like, oh, you should have tied his front legs to like his antler, like that would have helped
Oh, yeah.
because like the
Always, yeah.
resistance. Yeah, I
Tie
didn't
him
do
in like
that.
that. Yep.
Definitely makes sense. But jet sled I think would be the best thing.
Yep.
Even like snow or not, like jet
Yeah.
sled or any
I
sort of
just
sled.
started using jet sled. Again, Vermont, and we always just dragged them out on the bare ground. Yeah, so and there was always you tie it like that, drag it with the stick, and then two people can grab. If you have somebody else to help, then it's easy with the stick. We tried doing the old stick over
between
the
the
shoulders.
logs.
Really?
Yeah, me and Scotland tried that a few years ago, but we had a way too bendy stick. Just we didn't.
That's
We
pretty
were-
fun.
We were
stick.
thinking about that too. You brought up a couple pictures.
Yeah. But who needs a sled when you got like a friend like Dan?
Yeah.
Just call him, dude.
Yeah. I specifically remember one down the train tracks, or
Yeah.
down the side of the tracks, following them. We must have been almost 2 miles out, just
We were beat.
through the nastiest brush you can imagine. I'm pretty sure I was sick too.
Those ones feel the best.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
When you
you're
get
right.
done, it's like,
Yeah.
I know you're all jacked up.
Yeah.
Feel good. Eat the tenderloins.
And when
Yeah.
else are you gonna get that workout? You know.
Oh,
I know.
never.
It's fun. It's
That's
usually
kinda-
a phone call to Dad or a phone call to Dan.
Yeah.
You gotta help me.
That's kind of one thing I was thinking about doing at Huntstock. Maybe you guys do it. Is
a drag race, like quote unquote drag race, but you have a couple jet sleds set up, and you got like a whatever. It can be as long as you want it to be a 50-yard track, and like you've got weight plates that you can put in there and say, well, this is a 200-pound buck. You want to, even without the race, people can like go and like drag and see. Oh, that's what a 200-pound buck would feel like to drag on a sled, right?
Yeah, that's a good
150. Idea. But then you can get people like, dragging their body weight and doing races and stuff.
That'd be cool. Yeah, almost like potato sack race, but like buck drag race.
Right?
Yeah, that's wicked. That's fun.
Be kind of fun and have some prizes and.
Yep.
Yeah. Just I want to bring some experiences,
I'm getting excited for Huntstock Fest.
Me too, man.
It should be a good event.
Yeah, thanks for having us and everything. We're wicked pumped on it.
No, dude, thank you guys for coming. Again, you guys are one of the best channels in the Northeast, so we're gonna be happy to have you down there.
I don't know about that, but we're trying. We're having fun with it. We're having fun with it.
Oh, and something I'm gonna tease is since you guys brought up Jeff Doyle earlier, he and I were talking about maybe I think in the next iteration of Huntstock, Jeff wants to start some kind of a Northeastern hunting film festival that would like premiere at like Huntstock.
That's
right?
cool.
So like a competition for all the pages and stuff. Yeah. Like you submit one and maybe you hold off on one or it's whatever. We figure out how to do it. And we have showings at Huntstock. Like, we'll figure out how to do it all. But he wants to put something together.
That sounds fun.
That awards the channels for the best videos,
Yeah. That sounds good.
I think that'd be cool. There's 8 million ideas around Huntstock that is just like
how much work do you have like leading up? I'm sure you're like so swamped.
Oh, there's so much that goes into it. Yeah. Right now I'm focused on getting as many good sponsors and festival experiences that I can. I still need to get 3D archery course locked in. Like for some reason I thought that was going to be an easy, like somebody would want to build it, and take part in it, but it's really hard to get somebody to commit to doing that, even though for them, they'd be compensated for it, big time. That's not included in your Huntstock ticket. If somebody wants to shoot the course, they pay the person. But I haven't had anybody that really, really is serious about that yet. So I might, with anything in my life, if I can't get somebody who is better at it than me to do it, that's what kind of like why I started this podcast. I'll just do it and learn it. So if I can't, I'm going to buy the targets. I'm going to bite the bullet. No, it's going to be really expensive. I'll buy all the targets. I'll set up the course. I'll correspond, have somebody at least help me who's done it before, to consult with me on how to do it. But I'll set it up myself if I have to. But I would love somebody who's listening to this who wants to take that on, because I have too many other things on my plate. Somebody build that course. That would be helpful. So it's the festival. I've already got all of the back end stuff planned. All the tents and all the tables and all the porta potties and all of that stuff's all taken care of, all the basic stuff that you need. So I did that early, and now it's just like putting all the pieces of the puzzle together.
Yep. Sweet.
Still waiting on a few big podcasts that are more national, not Northeast, that might be coming. Waiting on a couple of potential seminar guys. Even like Lanny. I've talked with Lanny the other day to see if he wants to come down. It's been kind of hard to get in touch with him this summer, and he's open to it for sure. So maybe there's a few more big announcements that'll come in terms of like who's going to be there, and potentially a really big podcast. Just waiting on a couple of things to drop there. So
awesome, that's so fun.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear 3D archery. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
We honestly, I haven't even been to one yet. We signed up for our first event on.
Yeah, we signed
Where are you
up.
guys going?
We're going to Total Archery Challenge.
Oh, in Vermont?
In Killington, yeah.
I think I'm going to go up there that
Sweet.
weekend too. What weekend is that again? May.
It's the Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, what
it's
is
like
the...
May 27th, 28th, 29th or something.
Okay,
like
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're looking forward.
Sweet. Yeah, I think I might be going up. That's like my backyard where I grew up. So.
Oh, no way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
If you guys, where are you guys going to stay when you go up? Are you going to do a day trip?
No, we're gonna go for the week. We're gonna go for we're gonna go Friday night, shoot Saturday, leave Sunday.
Yeah.
But, we're probably just gonna get an Airbnb or something.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should all, because I'm thinking about doing that too. My boss on my day job has some properties too, not too far from there, 10 miles away. I might hit him up and see if we can get a deal on a place there.
Yeah, let us know.
I really haven't thought about too much. Actually, my deer camp is only 45 minutes away from there too. We could just stay at deer camp.
Yeah.
You know,
That's cool.
It's a 45-minute drive, so
you know, you're not right there, but deer camp's cool and it's free and whatever. It would probably be pretty fun. So
that sounds
yeah,
awesome.
definitely let us know. We definitely link up
for sure. Yep, I'm excited. I haven't. I hope I get my new bow before then. I'm gonna get a new Matthews this year, and I'm gonna shoot it. And I've been using the same bow forever, but it'd be awesome to get that before then. Otherwise, I might not even shoot the course. Just go up and I'm gonna split a booth, I think, with Jason Alex from Northeast Hunting Film. He's buying a booth to be in their little festival area up there. So I might just split a booth with him and hang out there and sell some Hunt Suburbia shirts and you know, see what they're doing and see what I can learn from them for hunt stock and that kind of thing. So. But yeah, dude, we'll be in touch about that because that could be fun.
Yeah, we're excited.
It's actually turkey season too up there.
Oh, no way!
Really?
Yeah. Don't tell the girlfriends.
I know. Yeah, we might got my wife and his girlfriend might be coming up with us just so they can. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they won't be coming up now.
Yeah, I didn't really because I don't think about turkeys that much. I'm not big into turkey hunting, but yeah, Jason he told me, he's like, oh yeah, it's turkey season then, and in Vermont. They're still acting like, you know, early, like, I guess, turkey rut, right? It's like, and it's higher elevation. You can get up, you can go up and hunt the ski trails right on the mountain there early in the morning, at, you know, be up there at 4:30 a.m., get a morning turkey hunt in, be back down in before the start of the event even happens.
How many guys are going to be doing that, though?
I don't know. Probably a lot now. Yeah.
That sounds fun.
But there's some really cool videos, I think, on Just Hunt Club, a few other pages. I think it was Just Hunt Club where I've seen them hunting high elevation tops of mountains, either in Vermont, New Hampshire, you know, where you're hunting a ski trail up there. I mean, with the sun coming up, I mean, it's just beautiful, and a big old mountain tom coming out. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. They have some really cool videos, Just Hunt Club.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're doing really good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, anything else, boys?
No, I mean,
nothing crazy.
We're gonna see that deer.
Hopefully, this is gonna be our Hunt Stock Fest
this one,
2.
Dude, I want to see that one.
Yeah,
I want to see what the other side of that one looks like.
I'll put it another 10 miles in, see if I can find it.
You guys gotta put some time in to find those sheds, because that was part of the coolest part of the story for Pat Burns' buck, is how many sheds he had and how many
of the electric buck.
Yeah, the seasons and progressions of that. You know?
That was neat.
It just adds to the story.
What was his, like, just quickly, like, what was his story, like, getting the buck? Like, did he call him out or something?
Oh, like when he finally got him?
Yeah.
No, he'd never call. He was always afraid to call for that buck. I think he said he called one time because he was afraid of giving up a spot. This buck was so finicky, so he was afraid to give up the spot. And I think he said he called once, and he had that kind of bush shaking thing happen, but he never saw the deer. And he thinks maybe it was him, but he doesn't know for sure. So no, he didn't call it in, but he went in. He had a morning sit. He had to leave to go pick up his daughters, and then they went out to lunch at a pizza shop. So he had pizza smell all over him. He was in his hunting clothes, and he was thinking, like, there's no way. Plus the wind was the worst for that night. So, but he still went back and sat there. You know, he was so meticulously studying that deer that, you know, the thought of going in there on the wrong wind, where the wind was going to be blowing to where he was bedded, like, was crazy. And he didn't think. Plus, he smelled like pizza, so he didn't think that, you know, he had any chance.
Should have been called the pizza buck, not the electric buck.
But that night is when he came out, and it was the first time he had seen him. He'd been hunting him for 6 years. He has thousands of videos and trail cameras of him, thousands. He has all of his shit, like, not all, but 9 or 10 of his antlers from previous years.
But never laid eyes on him.
But had never seen him.
Wow.
And then the first time he saw him, he killed him 25 yards. Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah, this deer's a little more elusive. He doesn't like cameras, and he doesn't like dropping his sheds where you can find him.
Yep. You don't have hardly any cam pictures, huh? You have a few, but not a ton.
Probably maybe 10 maximum.
Yep.
Yeah, around that.
Yeah.
Yep. See, but that's like, I think in the beginning when Pat was hunting that buck, you know, it was the same thing. He would get one. The first year he only got one picture of him, and then every year he had to hone in with those really big ones like that. He might only be in a 200-yard radius or 100 yards that he feels really safe in.
Yep.
And that's what Pat ended up finding out. He was in this really, really tiny core, and he was just shrinking it every year as he learned more.
Yep.
Shrinking it every single year, and then that last year he had quite a few cameras right in that tiny little core, and he would get to the edge of it, didn't want to go into the middle, but he'd have stand locations around the edge of it.
Interesting.
So, yeah, interesting. I definitely can't wait to see what happens with that deer, and good luck, boys, on getting them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks again for coming up.
No, thank you for inviting us. It's been really fun. We're wicked excited for Hunt Stock, so
Me too, man. Yeah, and we got to talk about, we'll do this offline and try to get some groups together, but doing a challenge like that. I think it'd be really fun.
We're in for sure.
Sweet, dude. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you for having us.